So this is going to be episode number 4 of our interview series. We have Clouded DJ from Austin, Texas, as our guest today. I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute, let you introduce yourself, kind of give us an idea of the things you do and how you got your start. And
Yeah,
then we'll kind
absolutely.
of go from
Well,
there.
first, thanks to Brock and for letting me have this opportunity to kind of speak on my experience as a DJ. It's kind of insane. I always dreamed of this moment for someone who would interview me. So here we are, and we're doing it.
Awesome.
But no, my real name is Emiliano. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I go by Clouded on the decks. I'm also the founder, co-founder of Distorted Sky, which is a creative collective that I started here in Austin. We just started this summer throwing events at this place on 4th Street called Neon Grotto, and it's been an absolute amazing ride.
Cool.
I love music. I love being a DJ, and I am really excited to be here talking with you, dude.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the place that you mentioned, where y'all are throwing events,
Yeah.
how's that go?
So yeah, Neon Grotto is it's a rooftop bar right in downtown Austin, and I thought it was the perfect place to kind of introduce what I had in mind. A little bit about Clouded.
Yes, please.
A lot of people have seen the gloves. These are the red gloves that I wear. Um, Clouded is a persona that I created when I was a young DJ. Before I was Clouded, I was Elevate. That's what I went by. Uh,
Okay.
Elevate used to DJ some parties in UT when I started going to UT during the pandemic. A lot of people don't know that I am actually a COVID DJ. I decided to DJ professionally during COVID, and but I've always been a big fan. My older brother, who is the other co-founder of Distorted Sky, he started raving in the early 2010s, listening to amazing people, and I was
Yeah.
obviously a little young. We're 9 years apart. I
Okay.
was a little young to join him in the clubs, but he would bring all the music he was listening to back home.
Yeah.
And from then on, I loved the techno and the house and everything that he kind of brought home. It was incredible, and I just really loved the bassy sound. That's what I always described it. Um, then I remember, I think one of the most insane DJ origin stories, but I hope there's a lot more of you out there. My brother bought DJ Hero 2 for the Wii. And when that came out, it was insane because it had remixes and songs of the time that were incredible. And it was basically, if no one is familiar with DJ Hero, it's like Guitar Hero. But instead of like the plastic guitars, they would have a plastic DJ set, and there was like 3 buttons, and you had to scratch and everything like that. It was
That's
really cool. And I love video games, so combining music and video games at the same time was incredible. And that's how I
yeah.
discovered like people like Deadmau5. And Deadmau5 was actually one of my first introductions when I was really, really a kid, and I guess at the height of his fame. When he's not, beefing with James Hype, which is the most recent thing. Do you remember that?
I did
Um,
see that.
but I love the idea of having that kind of persona on stage, and because he was like sort of like this like robot thing. Then you have the goats with Daft Punk, who also really had this otherworldly presence when it came to their music. And through like the DJ Hero, Deadmau5, like I'm also obsessed with Batman and obsessed with all these like vigilantes and different people who have like personas that are separate from their own regular lives. I created Clouded. And
Nice.
when I started DJing under Clouded and wearing the red gloves, that's when people were kind of like, "Who is this guy?" You know?
Yeah.
It's always the weirdos. It's always the weirdos that are in the scene that you tend to remember the most. I tend to
Something
remember
different.
what the Beastie Boys once said, that like they may have not liked you, but at least they'll remember you.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of how Clouded came about, and my kind of obsession with electronic music. Then I joined the Austin scene. I joined the Austin scene in about 2022. I started going to my own open decks. There were open decks here. at this place that doesn't exist anymore called Higher Ground.
Huh.
Um, that's where I met a bunch of network of DJs from all different types of respects. You have people who played, dubstep to techno to tribal house to uh, more scratch DJs and things like that. And it was
Yeah.
just a combination of some of the most incredible DJs that were right fresh from COVID.
Huh.
And
That's
we
pretty cool.
all, it's funny because now we all have kind of found our holes. We all kind of like dissipated and found our own places in the scene
Yeah.
here in Austin, and some people have like moved out and done their own stuff. But that's where I kind of made my name. I started just playing my tracks there. Um, then I got noticed by the older scene, the OG ravers from the '90s, and I'll mention her by name. Her name is Lori. Shout out Lori. She saw me play a classic Dennis Ferrer track, "Hey Hey." Shout out "Hey Hey." It's one of my. I swear, "Hey Hey" is like what made my career because it got me noticed by some of the older people, and she gave me some guidance to go check out some of the more legendary parties in Austin that I had no idea were a thing.
Hmm.
Um, by the likes of Might Be Magic and Sanctuary, two of the biggest parties that shaped my career as a DJ,
Yeah.
and have actually like been the biggest mentors to me as being a young guy. I was 21, 22 when I started going to these parties. Might Be Magic is run by this amazing power couple with legendary DJ Brett Johnson, who is, apart from being an amazing producer, he is an incredible world class DJ, and he has been a huge inspiration for me because his parties were always the talk of the town. To this day, if you go to a Might Be Magic party, you'll have an amazing time. It'll have the most incredible sound, technically, and some of the greatest names here in Texas.
That's cool.
Sanctuary is no different. Is run by these two guys, brother Pate and Thurman, who shout out to them too, who made their residency at Austin Den, a place that doesn't exist anymore. It was this very tightly knit space where they had one DJ control like this like very intimate group of people. I think my apartment's bigger. My apartment is bigger than this place. It's like less. It was like 450 square feet
Wow.
with just speakers blaring in your face, and it was an amazing time. You had everybody in town go to these places. Both of those parties gave me the opportunity to play for them, and for a young DJ like me, it meant the absolute world. And in those gigs, I learned a lot about myself as a DJ,
Nice.
especially because the older heads in the scene are not shy to tell you where you want to kind of build up, right?
Yeah.
Um, and with that, uh, I learned so much about what it means to be a DJ. And I think that having mentors in the scene and reaching out to some of the older names is important. Um, there's a lot of DJs in every scene who have been doing it since before you were born,
Yeah.
and they know how to read a crowd. They know how to. They know the struggle. First of all, they know the struggle. They know what it's like to play for empty rooms, to open up for other DJs, and it's all part of the journey. And I think it's really beautiful. But yeah, that's kind of how Clouded came about and how kind of I made my name in the Austin scene. And I love the Austin scene with my entire heart. So that the red gloves are good for something, right? Having a
There
heart.
you go. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Um,
there's a couple questions I have out of that, just out of pure just DJ ideas. When you say residency at a place, that means that they're playing there continuously, correct?
right, yeah. Residency is sort of like a technical term for a DJ. A DJ who basically resides in a place. Obviously, a lot of the most legendary like residencies throughout time in music history. Names that you should know, names that every young DJ should know. You got Larry Levan at the Paradise Garage. David Mancuso at the Loft. These are all like New York. New York clubs, but overseas um, you got Sven Vath and Frankfurt, who had his residency there. You got Carl Cox, who had his residency at, oh man, I'm trying to remember the place. Uh, but some of these legendary DJs have made their name because they commanded their own parties in a certain club. So essentially, if you were a music enjoyer, you would go to these clubs specifically because those DJs are the residents at those clubs.
Okay.
So it's like they knew those DJs know the space, know their crowd, and know the people that come there. So having a residency is a very powerful thing for a DJ because it's essentially how in the same way a comedian kind of talks to a crowd, it's the same way a DJ makes a connection to a crowd.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of how Distorted Sky came about, which I'd be happy to talk about. Um,
I was actually going to ask. Yes.
yes, yes. Distorted Sky is a lot in the same way, and I'm very lucky. Shout out to Brian from Neon Grotto, who took a literal blind chance on us. It's been a lot of fun, and we found a lot of character in using Neon Grotto as a space for our residency and trying to connect with a crowd that honestly we're still kind of developing, and it's really exciting to be kind of in the early stages of creating a collective and creating a scene and creating and seeing what kind of people you attract. Um,
Yeah.
it's always I love it. It's always like the hot nerds. It's always the hot nerds. It's so good. I love the people who have been coming to our parties. But Distorted Sky came about that kind of obsession. If there's something that I love, it's music history. Um,
Yes, I can tell you've given me the most history, and we're just a few minutes into it. Then
oh
I've got
yeah,
to learn
yeah,
the rest of
yeah.
them. That's really cool.
Education in the scene is very important because you need to understand that the shoulders of you need to stand you need to understand the shoulders that you're standing on,
Great.
which is a mouthful. But I think that noticing the political, the socioeconomical like context of why house and techno were created are important to understand how this art came to be and how it impacts you and how it can impact other people. Because we're sort of like the shamans. We pick tracks and we pick selections and we technically put them together to try to connect with people. I will say a lot of DJs nowadays don't understand this, and that's okay. I don't think it's a problem because they get their own people going. You know, the
Mhm.
people who also don't really care. You know, they go to other events, and I'm not gonna name any DJs, but they have their own fun in their own context and their own time. But I think understanding that house and techno were is black art form. It was created. Techno was created in Detroit, and House was created in House. Wait, House was created in Chicago. My bad.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And part of what we're talking about recently, or just right now with residencies, Frankie Knuckles, which is actually I had learned Frankie Knuckles was DJing with Larry Levon in the Paradise Garage when he was like 16 years old. And so this was back in like the early 80s, like mid 80s. Um, Frankie Knuckles was in Chicago and was a resident at this place called the Warehouse. It was called the Warehouse. It was a disco club because nowadays the term house wasn't a thing yet. So back then, DJs would do a special technique when they had two turntables. They had two of the same record, and in every disco track, there's a break. Basically, a break where kind of like the drums and the bass kind of go off, and like people it's I love that in disco. I didn't I remember when I was younger and I learned about all of this because previously I loved disco. I love 60s, 70s, 80s music. So the break was always my favorite part of the song, and I just thought it was my favorite part because it was whatever. But what these DJs would do is that they would use a technique and by pure ear and just technique to elongate those breaks.
Hmm.
So basically, you'd be listening to that break for about 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Huh.
And so in that, you kind of get lost in a groove. And a lot of people would go to the warehouse specifically to hear Frankie Knuckles kind of mix that kind of music.
Interesting.
So they would canonically call it house music. because we go to the warehouse, but it's just house
Huh.
music. From there, Frankie Knuckles and all of the people there, and all of the producers that were around him at the time, um, legendary names and OGs, and I wish I could name them all, but just for the sake of the interview, I'll just keep going. But like they started making house records, then they started making all these legendary tracks, and house music just kind of blew up. Then house music was a sort of driving force in a lot of queer communities because had house was technically good. It was like, okay, house is amazing. It gives us in a groove. Now it's a matter of putting a context to it, and that context, I think, in my pure interpretation of history, has always been about individuality and uniqueness, and that on that dance floor in house, you are nobody but who you want to be.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of like the queer community at the time, and the 80s and 90s, when the whole, with AIDS and a lot of people like them, getting this kind of scrutiny, they needed a place to retreat, and where they retreated were these clubs, and it was only at like gay clubs at this time where you would hear house music.
Really?
So understanding that the queer community brought us house into the mainstream is important, because the girls
Thank
and the
you.
gays, and this is a rule for any
Thank
type of
you.
music ever, the girls and the gays are the ones who determine what the mainstream is. And if you
Got
play
it.
for them, you'll be a great DJ,
Got it.
because you have to understand it's great. That's sort of on the house side. On the techno side, Detroit was the sort of like Motown. This the It was the town for Motown. So a lot of like, most famously, Michael Jackson did like the moonwalk on the Motown 25th anniversary special, and Motown was kind of like this like television series where they would play a lot of like soul and R&B and stuff like that. So Detroit was always a very musical town, but it was also a workers' town.
Mhm.
That's where all like the factories of cars, like the Ford factories, and like every
Yeah.
car in America was made in Detroit basically.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that lived in Detroit were sort of um were part of worker family, where they would go and work in a factory all day and come back, and they really didn't have much energy. But it was with the oh man, the Saunderson brothers, and man, with this interview, it's always an interview that you forget all the names because you wish you could name them all.
Right.
Uh, yeah, but the Saunderson brothers, and I'll remember them as I go on. I have them in my mind. I just can't really display it, but they
No way.
started creating music that was very pummeling, like electronic, because the
Yeah.
idea of it was that because all these people are tired, they can't really like groove and do their moves like house can. So having a pummeling music that's very continuous, you don't have to move that much, and you just kind of like move and get lost in the groove, and that's how kind of techno was born. Obviously, electronic music like was created a lot in part by the people from Europe. All those sounds that came like from Europe and back and forth. It was a whole transfusion, and I think it blew up the way it did because everybody in the world really took to that feeling.
Yeah.
And so the Europeans did it in their own way, and Detroit did it in their own way. Chicago did it in their own way. Then little scenes came up and everywhere, and pretty soon you had all these giant sound systems all around the world blasting some of the greatest tracks ever. Nowadays, it's really crazy to think about because DJing now is so accessible, and
Hmm.
I think for the best. I think that having DJing be so accessible, and that anybody can become a DJ. I think it's cool because it gives people an art. And the same way that I can get a piece of paper and draw and just practice and practice and practice because I maybe enjoy it,
Yeah.
I can. A lot of people are picking up decks and trying to just play their favorite music for themselves, for their friends, and for all the crazy people like me and all the dreamers who want to, put ourselves out there to a scene and to a community. It's amazing because it we can express ourselves through our taste and our curation. You know? I feel like I've been I've
No,
been
that's
taking the
okay.
floor, but
That's
um,
okay.
yeah, understanding history is really important, and that's when you kind of like figure out all these sets. Because nowadays a lot of people have. Um, so how did you what DJs did you see that inspired you to become a DJ and stuff like that?
So for years, I really never liked EDM music of any kind. I just didn't like it. I couldn't get myself to like it. And then a buddy of mine said, "Hey, do you want to go to this concert with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So I went with him, and we went to a Sarah Landry concert in
Yeah,
Dallas. And it was a blast. I had a great time. Everybody was super cool. It was, end of 2024, so not super long ago.
hmm,
And then from there, I just started going to more and more. And then I went to Black Coffee after that, which I had mentioned to you a little bit earlier.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then just from there, I've been going to more and more and trying to understand a little bit more of how it all works and just go
yeah.
have fun. Uh,
That's really cool. I think shout out to all the friends who brought out other friends to their first rave.
yeah,
I think that was my older brother who brought me to my first rave. Um, who was Dixon? I think Dixon in 2021. Um, yeah, wow. Another name that I highly recommend. Dixon is an
okay,
absolute masterclass in DJing. He runs a label called Inner Visions, and it's incredible.
awesome.
Um, but I think the first rave you learn a lot
Yeah,
about yourself because I think there's a
definitely.
certain point where you're on the dance floor and you kind of fall in love with something. It can be yourself, it can be other people, it can be the scene, it can be the music, it can be the DJ. It's like
Yeah,
um, I think the most overwhelming feeling you get there is love. So you want to come back, you want to learn, you want to kind of like because with love comes passion.
yeah,
And I think all love should be passionate because
agreed.
passion doesn't mean obsession. I think
Yeah,
passion just means that like you can't see yourself doing anything with your time but what you want to know in that scene about what you love, and it can be you can see it with people, with girlfriends and wives, and um, uh, but you can definitely see it with art. And uh, DJing should be considered an art, and it should be taken seriously. Because when you see that one DJ that absolutely makes you believe that there's no going back.
yeah.
For me, it's been Green Velvet, probably. I've always loved his tracks ever since my brother was bringing them back home when I was a kid. But I remember seeing Green Velvet for the first time, and it absolutely floored me. Then, then I saw Honey Dijon. Both of these people are from Chicago, by the way. So yeah, Chicago has literally all the talent when it comes to house. But Honey Dijon was like this combination of kind of like techno and house, and putting it all together into this kind of ball of energy, and it was incredible. Um,
Yes,
by the way, I hope we're doing good on time. So if you
we're
want to
doing
move
good.
on,
We're doing
just
good.
let me know. But as I started kind of doing gigs around the city and seeing more and more legendary DJs, you tend to get a special thing when you see them. And but what I mean is that when I first saw Honey Dijon, I had barely started like getting into the scene, and so my style was just mimicking her. I'm not gonna lie, like it's just like I was just trying to mimic what she was doing because it just that was the style I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Then I was seeing names of Tiga and Tiga. Then I went to ARC. Actually, I'm wearing this shirt right now. I went to ARC last year. ARC is a festival in Chicago that has a lot of like big names. And there I saw, I mentioned him earlier, but his name is Sven Bath. And I don't think I've seen a DJ with so much stage presence, with track selections, with so much technical ability, with just like a disarming smile. Like it's insane. And this guy mixes all vinyl, by the way. Like
Oh,
Like
that's
he
cool.
gets like a little record and just kind of like bobs, and it's all techno. Um, and he looks at the record, he listens to it, reads the crowd, and then he listens to it, reads the crowd, and if he doesn't like it, he'll switch it. He'll switch to another track. Um,
That's
and I think
cool.
that's the most baller shit I've ever seen in my life. Granted, when I was looking at him, I was like a little happy to say the least, and like I was like, oh my god, this guy's the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. But
That's funny.
I think in that sense, I saw DJing in its pure form. I saw a person who was absolutely dedicated to his craft.
That's really
Then from
cool.
there, that same weekend, I saw Carl Cox. So Carl Cox is also one of those
Nice.
people who's just like, oh wow, Carl Cox is amazing. Combines that kind of like house and techno thing perfectly too.
Yeah.
Then I saw some more legendary producers. I remember seeing Todd Edwards, and he blew my mind. Todd Edwards more famously worked with Daft Punk on some tracks like Face to Face,
Okay.
Fragments of Time, and stuff like that. Two of my favorite tracks.
Nice.
He was sort of the precursor to UK garage, kind of like, or not UK garage, but just garage in general, I think. And so seeing how kind of these genres carry from the world, Carl Cox is British, Sven Vath is German, Honey Dijon is American, obviously from Chicago. Then I saw legendary names from Robert Hood, who is a techno DJ, who was, oh man. Now I'm just like getting up all the names of the people I've seen, and it's insane. Uh, Robert Hood from Chicago, from Detroit, sorry. A lot of people from California, Dirty Bird. Like, how can I forget Dirty Bird? Dirty Bird is kind of like they kind of created the bass house genre. More so. That's a very loose term for me.
Yeah.
Uh, don't blow me up in the comments, guys. But Dirty Bird, seeing a lot of Dirty Bird artists and seeing the boss man himself, Claude Von Stroke. I saw him at the same time that I saw Green Velvet when they did their combined set called Get Real. They had the most popular song is Jolene. The like Jolene, everybody wants her cause she's a star. It's so great. They might get back together, which is the rumor, but we'll see.
Interesting.
um, that's what I mean, and I think that like every DJ is inspired by another great DJ, and going through discovering one DJ is amazing, but you got to figure out who their heroes are, and you're gonna find the most incredible music ever because
Yeah.
everybody's always a student of somebody, and
It's funny.
you can trace it back to maybe like I don't know the first disc jockeys who were doing wax cylinders or something. I don't know. um, uh, but everyone's always a student of somebody, and making their name famous is amazing. But um, I think that the greatest thing you can do as a DJ and the greatest thing you can do, especially on your journey now that you're creating this page, which I think is amazing.
Thank you.
Everybody should follow you if you're a new DJ, especially
Thank you.
because you came to the right place. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
um, Anybody who wants to do that needs to, where there's a hero, there's your hero's hero, and your hero's
Yeah.
hero's hero. And there you're going to go through the most amazing music you've ever gone through in your life because DJing is a lot based on experience. It's like a video game. I always describe it this
Yeah.
way. The more experience you have, the better you're going to be at the game. And like DJing is just like that. So you're not going to get any better. Um, if you're a bedroom DJ now, that's amazing. But if you ever want to take this to the next level, you got to get out there. You got to go to open
Yeah.
decks. You got to do everything because that's going into the deep end. And you're not going to be any better unless you play for a crowd. Because a DJ is more than just track selection and being technically good. It's about reading people and about making a connection with people. And
Yeah.
even me in my young days now, I'm probably going to see this interview in a couple of years and being like, oh wow, like this young bastard doesn't know what he's talking about. But as of right now, you can only live your life as passionately as you can, and
Yeah.
in this point in time, which is all we have, really, um, you have to be sure of yourself that you're doing this out of pure passion and pure dedication. And I want my dream with the Sworded Sky too. I want people to fall in love on my dance floor. I want people to have that kind of connection I had when I was on My Be Magic dance floor or on Sanctuary dance floor,
Yeah.
and on the dance floor of Honey Dijon and Sven and Carl Cox and all these names I'm naming.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about myself in those dance floors. And so, with creating my own events and creating this sort of like collective, I want those people to learn about themselves because at the end of the day, in its purest form, house, in the same way the queer community adopted it, it's about individuality. Because I feel like in nowadays, especially with the political climate and stuff like that, you need to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of beauty in life, and it's hard to see it, but it's in these spaces where we can feel ourselves and listen to house and techno, and it'll always sound technically amazing. But it's about learning the people who's dancing on like in the front and someone drinking in the back, someone smoking a cigarette there and just tapping his feet. All these people have a story, and you guys are all like congregating in that space because you need that escape, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's the beauty of it all. But that's kind of my philosophical thing to it. But I'll leave it to you if you have any questions still.
Cool. Yeah, I do have a couple. So you mentioned open decks for people who maybe aren't familiar, and I'm not fully familiar. Um, would you mind elaborating on kind of what that is and
Yeah, yeah.
what that means?
I think to best describe what open decks are is to describe what a scene is. What is a music scene, and why are some like forms of music that we adopt into the mainstream, why are they so amazing? It's because they all started from a scene. I'll give you an example, like off the top of my head, grunge, like grunge rock. Like it was a small scene in Seattle, and now it's a sound, right? Nirvana.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Nirvana, and everybody knows that. So I think with that, you have to have a platform for people for small artists to kind of showcase themselves. Open decks work exactly like an open mic, where at an open mic you have songwriters who bring their guitar, their own original songs. You know, they draw names from a hat, or or they write down their name on a list, and you have 10 minutes to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of what open decks are with in the DJ context. A lot of open decks in this city have been through different iterations.
Okay.
Sometimes they give you 20 minutes, sometimes they give you 30 minutes, and by no means is this like kind of like a great way to kind of introduce yourself to DJing, because I think when you're used to playing 30-minute sets or 20-minute sets to try to showcase yourself, you can get really rushed, and you can get like and you'll get lost in not trying to tell a story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think the charm about open decks is community.
Okay.
It's learning. It's learning about community. It's learning that there are other DJs and friends of those DJs who are coming to the support, and they'll all become friends, and they all start going to shows together, and they all start doing these things and stuff like that. They all do it
Yeah.
in open decks, and I think the charm of any open mic, any open deck, is part of that. Is that you get to know who is in the community, what are they doing, and kind of keeping not tabs, but like you start to recognize who you are in the context. You start to recognize who you are in comparison.
Okay.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because and comparison is not a bad thing, because obviously it happens. We're artists. We compare ourselves to other people, and we try to
Hmm.
feel either bigger or better or something like that. But I think, and seeing other DJs do their own type of music, you start to learn what you like and what you don't like. Because sometimes you're gonna see a DJ that's gonna be better than you,
Yeah.
but because you think because you think that they're better than you, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my bedroom and work out some of these tracks. Let me do it technically, so that next time I go to the open decks and I get picked, I'm gonna do it better, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna be better, and I'm gonna be better, and that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Um, Up until kind of everybody finds their own niche, and they start getting booked for parties that are reflect what they like to play.
Okay.
Um, so
So
that's kind of what
there's
an open deck is there. It creates a scene, and I think that's important.
okay. So there's no restrictions to what you can play. You can walk up there and play whatever you want, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, up into the liberty of the people putting it on, I guess.
Yeah.
For Distorted Sky, we're thinking of doing open decks for the fall.
Really?
And in that context, we're gonna be a little bit more specific on what we're looking for.
Okay.
We do want people to play what they want, but I also don't want. I also do have a personal prejudice against some music. I'm not gonna say it's the wrong type of music. That's an awful thing to say, but I do want it to be a bit more.
Certain sound.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want just anybody blowing up the speakers or because they don't know how to like beat match or EQ or stuff like that. And if they do, it's also open decks are also a great way to learn
Yeah.
because the people who care will always tell you what's going on wrong.
Yes,
Trust
definitely.
me, the people who don't care will always tell you, "You're amazing. You're so good. Like keep going. Like oh wow, that was so cool. What was that track?"
Yeah.
Um, the people who will care will be like, "That was great, but but this
Here's what I would
could
like.
probably been better. I didn't like
Yeah.
that, or I know you could do this better, or something like that." I think it's always tough to hear, but um, getting yourself out there in open decks is good.
Okay.
So if Distorted Sky does any open decks, we'll be a little bit more specific on what we're looking for.
Okay.
But yeah, there's open decks where you can play whatever to your heart's content.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they're not competitions, so it's like
Yeah.
you just kind of have to lay it all there.
Yeah. Just go have fun. Go have fun with
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately that's what you should be doing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm relatively close to Austin, so if y'all start doing them, let me know. Maybe
Please,
I'll
yeah,
make it up
yeah.
there for one of them.
For all your followers, please. I would encourage every young DJ and every experienced DJ, whatever skill level you have. I want to meet you, and I want to run an open decks because I want to be like part of that. I just want to know all
Yeah.
of y'all, and like it'd be really cool to have just like a bank of people and being like, oh, I'm throwing this event, so I'm gonna get this DJ, I'm gonna get this DJ, I'm gonna get this DJ.
Yeah.
So it's like, um, it's a great way to just get yourself out there, and I think
Yeah.
that's just the great way to do it. So yeah, open decks are a very special type of phenomenon, I think, because I don't think I've heard the term before, but obviously, again, I'm a COVID DJ, so for all the OGs listening, you probably guys did have open decks back in the day, and um, that it's cool to kind of think about that idea.
Yeah. So with open decks, I'm assuming that means like am I gonna have to pack up my equipment and bring it, or is you just show up with like a USB and that's it, or what?
Yeah, a USB. Um,
Huh.
USB is the most important thing on your itinerary.
I have
It's
one. I
probably the
do
thing
have one already.
you protect the most because um you kind of like get all your tracks on record box and stuff like that, and most it depends on the place, but they usually will have sort of like a setup like what I have here, kind of like an RX or something where you can just kind of plug in and play. Um, it happens a lot where a lot of DJs, you know, with trial and error, make a USB that doesn't read or something like that because they probably did something wrong. And I'll just my quick tips on making a USB, y'all.
Yes.
XFAT, XFAT formatting for all USBs. Get a kind of olderish USB, and because some of the newer like USB-C like USBs don't work on some older equipment, and you kind of want to always be versatile.
Yeah.
Always have a AIFF files or MP3 files. FLACs are cool. I love FLACs, but sometimes they don't work on certain equipment, and so you don't want to. I've had every single mistake you can have in an open decks. My USB didn't work one time. Some of the tracks that you prepared are not playing. Some of them are corrupted. Sometimes, so make sure to get your music from legitimate sources. But I'm not gonna tell anybody if you get them from other places. Um, but
I'm not a cop. I'm not a cop.
we're no cops because uh, yeah.
Okay.
but
And if you
yeah,
wouldn't mind the formatting, um, you said it's exFAT formatting?
yeah, EXFAT.
And
That one's kind of the more in the term of like computer like lingo. It's just sort of a format of a drive that can be read on kind of any versatile machine. So
Okay.
if you're trying to like use um, a Mac versus a PC, you can have an exFAT USB and that's going to be read on both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is
Awesome.
some formatting can be only read on Mac or PC, and obviously with some like Pioneer equipment, um, you need something a little bit more versatile.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. To all the people that are learning, like, I'm happy to do it because we make the mistakes so you guys won't. But if you guys do make the mistake, it's okay because that's how you learn. You can't, you gotta get back up and just keep doing it. Because
Definitely.
yeah, it's like it is embarrassing, but
So my next question is going to go a little bit off topic from necessarily DJing strictly. Um, Before the interview, I got a little bit of a chance to look at your Instagram, and I opened up your links, and you have some music out of your own. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah, I haven't thought about my own music in a while, but
I,
yeah.
I would
Once
love to
upon a
hear.
time, Clouded was I my musical production journey has been a weird one. But I started also during the pandemic. Funnily enough, I started producing. I've always wanted to produce hip hop. I'm the biggest hip hop head you'll ever meet. Well, probably not ever, but I love hip hop.
Yeah,
Uh, MF Doom was sort of my introduction when I was like in high school to this kind of world of hip hop, and it made sense to me because going back on how I created Clouded, MF Doom is another one of those people who kind of made their persona more than themselves and kind
yeah,
of like made it something bigger. With that, I started to discover like just how punk hip hop was, and it was amazing. Um, so I wanted to produce, and like a lot of my favorite things about hip hop was the actual beat. And like I love raps, but I can't really rap that well. Um, and so combining this kind of like house and techno production, putting it into more of a hip hop context, that was sort of my hope. And Clouded was originally created to be my producer name. And it
okay,
kind of just like blossomed into this kind of like glove seeking attention whore. But I do have a few songs out. Some of them that I was submitting to some labels actually. Nowadays, I don't think the tracks are bad at all. They're kind of a representation of the time that I made them.
yeah,
But I have been wanting to kind of get back into the production aspect of it. But my personal opinion is that I think DJing and production are two different beasts, but they can I respect a lot the people who are like producer DJs because it takes a lot of time.
yeah,
And me juggling, Distorted Sky, my DJ career, my full time job and stuff like that. It's just a little
yeah,
tough. So I've been kind of putting production on the back burner, but I definitely want to come back to it. I hope that one day, maybe we'll put it out there, we'll manifest it. Maybe Distorted Sky can be a record label and we can start putting on our own tracks and
yeah.
getting some people there. But yeah, my my production journey has been a bit of a weird one, but I do want to come back to it one day. And I think you even mentioning it right now has made me think about it because uh, I like that you keeping me honest.
Well, since I come from a production background, maybe more in like the you know hip hop trap side of things in terms of making beats. Um, my hope is to eventually make my own music also.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear, but I've tried and I I feel like I'm lost when it comes to production in this EDM world. So I was going to ask a little bit about what your process looked like when it comes to making this music and kind of seeing, are you doing it all on the computer? Are you doing it on your board? Or is it a combination of both? What's that kind of look like?
Yeah, I do have a lot of music that I've produced over the years that I've never released, and stuff that I kind of just like. It's like one of those things where you just create projects and projects and projects of random beats and synths and bass lines and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I really love to work with physical stuff. So like, it's part of like I guess the DJ mentality. I just love messing with it. And I think a lot of my DJing style, if anybody's ever seen me live, I use effects like crazy. So drum machines, synths, like stuff like that. I love using all of that. I own a TR-8S that I use for most of my drums, because coming from a hip hop standpoint, drums and bass are kind of like my biggest things that I care about the most.
Yeah.
So um, a lot of how house and techno is created is prioritizing that, like, from ceiling to bottom, everything kind of fits in its own way, so that when it plays on a sound system, the sub is kind of in its own world, the overheads are kind of in its own world, and like some of the greatest tracks I've ever heard, techno tracks, by the way. I think my personal opinion is that techno is the most, like, it does electronic music to its full form because it uses the entire frequencies of it. You have subs, bass, mids, like everything's kind of like acting in its own world, and making this kind of groove, and it's just so sonically interesting. And so
Yeah.
having that context in EDM is important because I feel some people may get really overwhelmed by making weird sounds or making like unique hooks or making unique vocals. But honestly, some of the greatest tracks out there are just based on the rhythmic groove of it. So
Okay.
just putting those aspects together in a way that you think you can dance to it,
Yeah.
because like EDM, the D stands for dance, and so like it's uh making that kind of music is great if you just focus on that kind of rhythmic aspect of it. I think that's my greatest advice, and it's something that's helped me a lot.
That's really good
Um,
advice.
yeah. As long as you dance to it, you can bob your head. That's great because then everything else is just decorating the cake.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay,
Um,
cool. Um, I think oh, here we go. I've got two questions left, and then
okay.
I'll kind of let you have the floor for a minute if there's anything else you want to close out with.
Sure.
Um, so my second to last one is, do you have a favorite moment from your career as being a DJ that you can remember, either somebody in the crowd or a moment you had with somebody else, backstage or anything like that?
That was a great question. I think one of my favorite sets I've ever played was at I think my first Might Be Magic debut at Neon Grotto. Actually, I played, instead of playing the rooftop, I played like the bottom floor. There's two floors at Neon Grotto, and I played the bottom floor. And I was so nervous. I did it. I put on the gloves and just started ripping. And in that, all the OGs like were crowding around me, and with the OGs came like other people that were coming in, and they were started hearing me, and pretty soon I had this entire like 360 crowd, and I just felt it. And I
That's
started,
awesome.
and I remember seeing the videos after, and I'm like, is that how I really dance? But in that moment, it's because I felt so happy, and I
Yeah.
guess like you always dance the weirdest when you're happy. It's like,
Yeah.
um, I think there it was really really cool. I felt so much love in that moment. My brother was also like my brother, his wife, then fiance, some of my best friends, um, some of the people I've met in the scene, DJs that I started out with. All of them were there, and they came to see me, and it was absolutely like wow. It was something else. That's when I kind of knew I was like, wow. I didn't realize it until after that. That's kind of the reason why I became a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that moment, you're just kind of playing the music, and you're just like, oh hell yeah, like I'm just ripping it, like hell yeah. Um, After it's like that euphoria kind of takes over you, and you're like, holy shit, that just happened.
Yeah.
And so I've only ever gotten that feeling from being a onlooker, like from being on the dance floor, witnessing a legendary DJ.
Yeah.
But it was the first time that I got that reverse feeling of like, oh, I just did a set that I think people will remember. And so like Another one of my favorite moments is actually happened in San Antonio.
Nice.
It was my first gig outside of Austin, and it was at this place called Pink Shark downtown, which is not really your kind of like house music venue. But I decided to play a little bit more kind of regular, you could say, just playing some songs, just like having fun. I was in a different city, I had
Yeah.
the drinks flowing, having a good time. I brought my one of my friends with me, meeting new people and San Antonio people. We love y'all. Like El Paso people and San Antonio people, we love y'all. We're the same rowdiness.
Yep.
So I never take requests. I've been very notorious about this, even when I threw parties in college. I'm
Nice.
very aggressive when people ask me for requests, and not aggressive in that like I'll punch them or anything. But I'm very much
Yeah.
like I'm not taking requests. Like sorry,
Yeah.
like I'm a DJ. I'm a real DJ. I don't take requests. And having already achieved everything I achieved, like mixing for all these parties and stuff like that, and having that moment that I described earlier, I was just having fun doing regular music, like, and having people kind of like bob their heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm primarily Mexican, native Spanish speaker, so like a lot of Mexican music is very close to my heart, and I don't get to mix it very often. This person came up to me and he was just like, "Hey, I got $5 if you play La Chona." La Chona is this legendary Mexican song, and I actually didn't have it on my USB, so I was like, damn, like I don't have it, like sorry, dude. And he was just like, "Ah, no, okay, fine. Play, toot 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 toot." And I was just like, "Oh my god." And so what he was describing was El Sonidito, which is another song, and I don't know, it's like un, dos, tres, cuatro, ti, 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 ti.
Yeah.
And all he did was toot 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 toot, and I was like, I got you, dude. And for the first time in my life, I took the $5, I took a request, and I dropped it. I dropped that song, and him and his friends were like, "Oh!" And they all came like and danced with me. And I think it was a very humbling moment where I kind of like let my ego aside and just ended up having some real authentic fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my favorite moments that come to mind. So yeah, shout out San Antonio.
That's really cool. That's funny. And then I guess for my next question, we're gonna take it from there. Um, my hope for this series is I have a practice session on Mondays, interviews on Wednesdays, and then another practice session on Fridays.
Okay.
I'm hoping that for my practice session following the interviews, that you can give me one skill, like a technical skill when it comes to the board, that maybe you wish you had started practicing sooner, or that you think is, you know, I'm hoping for not something super basic,
Mhm.
like, beat matching and stuff like that. Like, that's an obvious thing that you're going to have to do as a DJ. But maybe something that might be, I don't know, something you think would be a good thing for me to practice in my next session.
Okay. I got it. So I think even some of the greatest DJs sometimes lack in it, and well, actually, no, the greatest DJs excel in this. Um, a lot of people, a lot of my contemporaries here in Austin, they don't really take advantage of this, and I think it is what set me apart about it a lot. EQing. A lot of people don't know how to EQ properly, and a lot of people think that EQing is just taking the bass, boom, 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 boom. But knowing how to use your highs and mids is your superpower, your
Yeah.
absolute superpower. Um, when you have a track that has kind of like clashing hi hats and stuff like that, you have to gauge a lot what's coming to you. I don't
Okay.
know if that makes any sense, but
Yes.
I'm of course I'm going to elaborate. Um, the EQs are there for a reason to try to kind of like to make everything kind of blend together, and you have to really trust your ear and trust like the kind of like cohesive sound you're trying to put out there, so that
Okay.
when two tracks are there, sonically they're kind of clashing against each other, right? what a mixer does is that it's putting it in two channels and putting it into one thing.
Yes.
So two tracks that you think may sound great together are clashing in the mids or crashing in the highs, and obviously basses sound ugly when they crash together. That's why like most people know how to just take a bass down and take it up and put the other one down.
Yeah.
But practicing those levels of each like individual track
Okay.
and putting them into the right like EQ is gonna be just makes so much of a difference. And
Okay.
I can't really describe it. I wish I could turn on my deck now, but it's a little late. My neighbors are gonna give me another complaint. You're not a DJ if you're not a DJ if your neighbors haven't complained about how much noise you make.
Oh,
I
that's
think in
funny.
every place I lived in Austin, I lived in 3 places in Austin. I've gotten a noise complaint in every single one. So whenever I get it, I'm always like, oh well, dang. But the EQing is honestly really EQing and knowing how to use your trim is honestly really good because
Okay.
a lot of people redline without having thinking because they're more focused or more nervous about the beat matching aspect of it.
Yeah.
Mastering beat matching first is the first step, obviously, because once you're not worrying about the beat matching is when you can solely focus on the EQing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something you should be prioritizing, especially
Okay.
for someone kind of coming out. Um, yeah, I that'd be my
Awesome.
my thing, and I'd be very
Thank
happy to see your video of you trying to EQ.
thank you.
And I hope
I
that
think
obviously this will be the last time we talk, so it'll be an ongoing
yes,
conversation. So I'd be
definitely.
happy if you ever make it to one of my events, you'll see exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah, dude.
Um, you have anything else you want to close out with?
So I guess by the time this goes up, my next event will be August 16th at Neon Grotto Rooftop. It's a Saturday. That's where we're gonna have
Amazing.
our big first like real big party. So please, everybody, come by. It's gonna be amazing. The gloves will
Awesome.
be out. It's gonna be me, my brother, and DJ Hot Donna opening it up.
Amazing.
So it's gonna be for anybody who thinks, oh, this guy talks so much shit and he knows all of them. So I was like, okay, well, come by Distorted Sky, have a drink, have a good time, and I'll show you what I mean.
Awesome. Our interview is actually going to probably go up the 27th of this month.
Oh,
I've got a couple scheduled out. You have
gotcha.
any events for that you know off the top of your head for after that? If not, I'll get some from you to put in the bio of the description of the video so that there's still somewhere
Yeah,
that
I
they can be
think by
found.
then we'll probably be every other Thursday at Neon Grotto, and from there, I guess we'll put it in the description below if
Yes.
any other information changes. So look out for the clouded note.
Well, cool. The
So things are
16th.
still up in the air, but yeah, dude, I just want to say thank you for this conversation was honestly really great. It's
Yeah, thank you.
really puts everything into perspective. So props to you. Everybody follow Learn How to DJ with me. And follow
Thank you.
Distorted
Thank you.
Sky and Clouded.
Yes. Yes, definitely. All your links are going to be in the description, so everybody go check him out. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I
You're welcome.
appreciate you giving us some history. That's the first history lesson we've got, and that was great. That was really, really good, really informative. And you answered a lot of other questions that are very much what I'm getting interested in here as we're getting started. So I really,
Yeah,
really
it's an
appreciate
exciting thing, and I can see it. I can see it in your eyes.
it.
I'm
Thank
really
you.
good about it because the DJ can always read somebody well. But no,
Well,
yeah, thank you so much for having me.
definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course.